What's up, my name's Samuel Leeds. I am a property investor, and in this video, I'm gonna be answering your questions around property investment. So please comment all of your questions below, and I'm gonna do my very best to answer your specific, niggling property investment questions. Also, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the video, so that when I answer your question next week, you don't miss the answer. Also, as I answer questions from last week, if you have a offshoot of a question, so as I'm answering someone, if you think, oh, but what about this? Just comment it below in form of a question, and I will endeavor to answer as many questions as I can. So let's see what we had last week. So Michael Davis, quite a long question, but I'll read it quickly. Just going to property, I started watching your videos. I bought 2 buy-to-let properties and have saved 25% deposit on each on a repayment mortgage, so I'm only making around £200 on each property. I wish I'd maybe got them on an interest only now due to cash flow advantages that you mentioned. I'm thinking of going for a BRR next after watching your videos. I actually live in a converted Mercedes Sprinter van on an acre of land I bought for £5,000. Fair play, all right. While renting out the houses, so I'm completely debt free. I've got another £25,000 lined up for the next property, so I'm very excited. You sound like an interesting character. Question, shall I use that and get bridging finance and then do up the house and refinance it rather than my current strategy? All the crash courses are booked and sold out, so I'm gutted. Keep up the good work. I hope my question gets answered. Michael Davis, here is me answering your question. So firstly, sounds like you got a real strange setup there, like living in a Mercedes van on a piece of land that you bought. I mean, fair enough. If you enjoy it, then great. It just sounds really strange, but cool. In terms of your strategy, yeah, your strategy at the moment isn't really working too well because you're having to save up. I don't know how you're saving up all that money. I guess probably because you live on a piece of land that you bought for £5,000. But you're saving up all your money and you invest in it, but you're gonna have to keep working really hard to keep saving the money. So you'd be better to work smart by doing exactly what you said, which is by putting it into a property, adding value and pulling it out. Just make sure that when you do that, it's about finding the right type of property. So you want to find a property that's maybe unmortgageable. If a property's got no kitchen and bathroom, guess what? It's unmortgageable. And then you buy it, cash and bridging, make it mortgageable, and push the value up and then refinance it. I think it's a great strategy. Let me know how you get on and hopefully we'll meet in person. And in terms of the crash course that's been sold out, look, there's always, I'm running so many events. I'm on tour at the moment, running the Property Millionaire Intensive, and people are like, oh, it's sold out, but they're talking about the one near their house is sold out. I would say just drive, get to wherever you got to get to, make it happen. I'll leave a link in the description. Good job. All right, Ian says, narrow sleep. Ian says, Will. I'm 23 years old. What's the best way to invest £50,000? Single lets, HMO, or is 50 grand enough to invest into BRR? It depends on what you want to achieve. Well, if you want to achieve cash flow, fast cash flow, I'd probably put that into rent to rents. If you want to achieve a little bit of both, decent cash flow, but you just want to invest it and you want it to go up in value, maybe HMOs is good. Buy a HMO in an area where they're about to bring Article 4 in, and then rent the rooms out, and then you'll have automatic grandfather rights. BRR, very good for wealth building. So if you're wanting to recycle your cash and grow a portfolio, then BRR is real good, but it depends on what you want to achieve. It really does, but 50 grand, if you put that into something like rent to rents, and it's gonna go obviously really far. You could grow a massive portfolio, but you don't own anything apart from the business that's making the money, which some people want. Some people are like, I just want to leave my job. If you invest 50 grand into a BRR deal and you hate your job, it's going to be a long time before you've got out of your job. So it just depends on what your goal is. Let's meet, man. Come down to some training. I'll leave a link in the description. Saeed says, when approaching landowners, what do you think the best process is after they contact you from receiving your direct to vendor letter to achieve a quick agreement or sale? So Saeed, when I'm sending out land letters, if someone calls me up and I've sent them a letter about their land, I will then go and meet them at the site because, you know, a land deal can be very, very lucrative. It's off market, direct to vendor. If they're saying, you know what, I'm open to selling, then there's potentially good money to be made there. And the land deals that I go out to, generally you speak in a minimum 6-figure profit. So assuming that it's not too far from home, I would go meet them, ask them what their situation is, listen to them, then go away, do some due diligence and put forward an offer. Spaceman, I'm looking at BRRR with money I've gathered. How would I best set up a company to do this? Is there any better way than others to build and organize a company for this strategy? Spaceman, I wouldn't worry too much about the company setup. I think that's more of an accountant's job rather than you having to spend lots of time thinking about it. Your job is to find the best deals possible. And then are you going to do it through a company? Are you going to do it through your personal name? Are you going to set up an LLP? I mean, I would speak to an accountant and say what is going to be most tax efficient, because it really does depend on your situation. Uzair, I'm currently a student. Is there any way I can get on the property ladder while in uni to get a head start? Absolutely yes, you can. In fact, I've had many of my students that are university students, and I mean, there's one guy, John Raybould, he was at Sheffield University, he was building a portfolio of HMOs with joint ventures and stuff like that. He left uni recently, never has to have a job in his life because he's got a portfolio of properties. So you can do this while at uni. You can do property investment alongside a job, alongside any profession, alongside a business, alongside university. So yes, you can get started. Miles Something. Can you outline all the costs needed to set up a property business, e.g. insurances? So a lot of costs like insurances, you're not going to have to pay right away. You're not going to have to pay until you own the house. But when you own the house, you're going to get rent. So you can pay a lot of management, maintenance, insurance. You don't pay for that stuff. Your tenant pays for that stuff. When your tenant pays you rent, you put a percentage of the rent aside for insurance, management, maintenance, etc. So the costs of setting up the business wouldn't include things like insurances, really. It depends on what the business is. I mean, it depends on what the property business is entirely. Is it a deal sourcing business? If it is, again, focus on the money early on, because you can very easily spend money on graphic design, websites, business cards, company setup, friggin' consultants to help you get the best logo. It doesn't matter. What matters is your ability to make money. And you don't need money to make money. That's one of the biggest myths ever. If you want to do deal sourcing, you might go, oh, but I need to have a company and I need to be compliant. No, you don't. Just package a deal, pass it to a co-deal sourcer, let them sell it for you, and you just get a quick commission fee. Get paid, focus on money-making activities, and then you can use that money to slowly build your business. Last question, Mr. S. Can you explain the exact steps and due diligence you do to find a suitable property for rent to rent? How do you know there won't be any problems in the future? How can you make sure the property will attract tenants? Okay, Mr. S, really good question. So depending on if it's a rent-to-rent HMO or a rent-to-rent serviced accommodation, the due diligence you're going to need to take into account is what's the supply and demand in the area. If it's a HMO, what are the current rooms for rent? Who's looking for a room? Go on spareroom.co.uk and look at flatmates. People looking for rooms or rooms wanted, scroll through, look at how much they're prepared to pay. Phone them up, have a chat. Speak to some HMO management companies. If it's serviced accommodation, go on AirDNA. Go on Airbnb and look at other people's calendars and see how full they are and how much they're renting them out for. Go to some hotels in the area and say, have you got any, we're looking for 6 of my colleagues to rent some accommodation from this hotel tonight. And if they go, yeah, no problem, then you might think, well, there's a lot of empty rooms. If they're like, oh my goodness, you're having a laugh, we're fully booked for the next 2 weeks. So do due diligence, but most importantly, always have a break clause in your rent-to-rent contracts, meaning that if it doesn't work out as you hoped, you can hand the keys back and walk away. So I hope that's helpful. Looking forward to hearing more of your property investment questions. Comment them in the chat box, or in the comment box, I should say, and I'll do my very best to answer your questions next week. If you appreciate me putting time aside to do a video every single day, then please help me out by smashing the like button, because that will help more people see the videos. It ultimately means more people can get educated and leave their jobs, become financially free, which is what my mission is for sure. So smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.